Yo, 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 Thought Warriors. What is up? Higher Learning is on. It is I, Van Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel and Lindsay.
Coming in live.
Live from where?
From Washington, D.C.
Ooh, our nation's capital.
Our nation's capital. I just walked by the church where Trump did the thing with the...
with the Bible?
With the Bible. And I was standing there trying to get people to... I was standing there with my hand like that. People would just like walk by and laugh. Like I stood there with the people like they would walk by and laugh. Oh, before we get started, do you have an apology to make to me?
I do not.
I'll just bring this up. It turns out Rachel was wrong about the passport thing 100%.
No,
she was 100% wrong about the passport thing. And this is a lesson for the Thought Warriors. Okay, all I did was ask a question. And my question was derided by Rachel Lindsay.
No.
Yes, it was.
Even you acknowledged that your first question was stupid. Your words.
But it's not stupid because it's actually a thing.
You thought that too.
But
and you made that comment as well.
I know. But here's the thing. This reiterates there's no such thing as a stupid question because guess what? Some of our intrepid thought warriors out there sent me evidence that you can, in fact, have pages sewn into your passport. Two different people hit me up and gave me two different examples of times that they've had pages sewn into their passport. So, Rachel, you were so sure.
I was.
Loud and wrong.
And why was I sure?
I have no clue.
Why was I sure? Because
what?
I was basing it off of 2013 knowledge, which neither one of those people who sent you that can confirm that was the case. Those were the rules in 2013.
It's not.
And the last time I got a passport was 2013.
All I asked is whether
so I was giving you. I was giving you information from my experience of getting a passport, which was
all I asked was whether
8 years ago.
Could do it. And you didn't say, I don't know, maybe you can. You were like, ha ha, you're stupid.
No, I did not. I did not.
All right. We are back. Missing white woman syndrome. Gabby Petito's body was found. Obviously, this was like a big deal. Everyone was talking about this. This was a huge deal. Obviously, there was a lady that went missing. Her body was found. She is white. Now, police and authorities are investigating her fiance for her disappearance, which it's always like the fiance or somebody close to the fiance. Like always the fiance or so. It always is. It's always like the boyfriend or the husband or someone. It seems like
that's always the first person of interest.
Right. That's why you got to keep your woman safe. Keep your woman safe. Make sure she's safe. Because if something random happens, they're going to look at you anyway. You have to go the extra mile to keep her safe. Also because you love her.
Yeah. I'm like waiting for the rest of it. I'm like waiting for the shoe to fall. Like, what are we going to keep?
But Joy Reid, who's been in the news lately, had something to say about this. She referred to something called MWWS. That is Missing White Woman Syndrome. Missing White Woman Syndrome. What do you think about this? This is obviously Missing White Woman Syndrome is the belief that, and we've seen this before, that when it's a white woman that goes missing or is the victim of foul play, that America holds its breath like she is a baby that fell down a well. But Black, Indigenous, gay, trans people go missing all the time, and America doesn't bat an eye. Do you think that there's any truth to Missing White Woman Syndrome?
Of course it's true. And it doesn't take you long to do a Google search to realize that what Joy Reid is talking about, one, has been discussed before. She didn't create the term. It was created by a Black woman journalist, Eiffel, and I cannot remember what's her first name. I'm just totally forgetting it right now.
Erasing her.
Gwen. Thank you. Did you know?
No, I had no clue.
Why are you over here checking me?
I have no clue. Yeah.
But it's something that has been discussed before. It's not new, and I think it's very important that Joy brought it up. Because I think it's important for people to realize that you can discuss both and it doesn't discredit what happened to Gabby. It's just pointing out that there's an issue. It's like when people say Black Lives Matter and people get all up in arms, and it's like, they're not saying that your life doesn't matter or only Black Lives Matter. It means that Black lives matter too. And the point of Joy bringing up that missing white woman syndrome is a thing is because she's saying that the reason this is a syndrome is because there are other lives that don't even become discussed, who don't matter when it comes to them missing. And listen, Gabby's life mattered. Getting justice for Gabby matters, but it also matters to highlight and get justice for all the other people of color that are missing, not just people of color, like you pointed out, because the media doesn't give them the same attention, and they seem to be fascinated when it comes to a white woman and what's going on with her rather than all these other people that are missing. And the problem too is that unless you know someone directly impacted because they know somebody who's missing, or it's their relative, their friend, then it's almost as if you don't realize that there's this problem out here because it's out of sight, out of mind, because it's not being brought to our attention. And so that's why I applaud Joy for talking about this, because it is something that is an issue. Because often when people of color or of these underrepresented communities are reported missing, police label them as runaways or maybe suggest that they're involved in some type of criminal activity. And these cases fall through the cracks. And already police don't put that much attention towards missing people. The units are small when it comes to searching for them. And then if all the fascination or all the attention is put on white women, then you can imagine all the other underrepresented communities that are going to fall through the cracks. So I think this is a real thing. I think it's something that needs to continue to be discussed. And I think that we shouldn't be afraid to discuss it just because some people get upset by it. You just have to separate the two, that it doesn't mean you're not honoring or recognizing what happened to Gabby. It just means there's a lot of other cases that need to be recognized as well.
So that's my issue with what Joanne Reed said. I don't have an issue with the discussion of missing white woman syndrome. It's not something I even knew was actually termed. But it's certainly something that obviously has an incredible amount of validity to it. And it's it's another one of those things that you know it without knowing it. I mean, you can just tell it. We talk about it all the time. Where are our girls? I get messages all the time from people saying, "Hey, Van, this person is missing. Can you retweet this or put this up to we're trying to find her." I will say this though, for me personally, if I'm being real, I did think it was in poor taste, and I'll tell you why. And I didn't see what Joanne Reed was. I didn't see the actual broadcast. When she did this broadcast, when she talked about this, did she attach this to a specific instance of a specific person that we need to find that was Black?
I don't believe so.
Meaning, did she say, here's so and so and so, they've been missing for a very long time, and we need to find them? Let me tell you why that makes a difference to me. It makes a difference to me because, like, Gabby Petito's family is actually grieving. Like, they actually, like, she's dead forever. And I just get weird about this kind of stuff. Like, she's dead, she's gone in the most tragic and weird way, right? And there is a bigger issue to discuss, but I always personally feel, and I've talked about this in the past, that when people are in mourning or are remembering something, and for whatever it is, that as a human being, it's important to give that oxygen. Now, and so what I'm saying is, to me, I feel like we're getting into a weird place. Are we being inundated with the Gabby Petitos and not other people? Sure, of course we are. Of course we are. Like, I get attached to the actual human tragedy surrounding it. And I'm like, all right, well, everybody's upset about it for whatever reason that they're upset about it. If I'm going to have this conversation, I think it's a more constructive way to have the conversation and to use the platform to give the example of a Black person who is missing, of a Black person, somebody who we can actually save, or a family we can help bring closure to, and then have a discussion about why we haven't heard about that. Because to go in on it and bring up the white woman syndrome while everybody is talking about Gabby Petito, it feels like content. And for me, just to be real with you, for me, it's distasteful because whether or not they're aligned with a million years or thousands of years or hundreds of years, it would be hundreds of years of white supremacy. And we all know that that colors everything that we talk about. There's still people who are genuinely hurt that this person, a seemingly innocent person, I don't know what she was doing in her life, is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody is actually dead, when there's a body, it's always weird for me as a human being to be like, hey, but just to let you know, when this happens to us, it's not the same thing. It's not saying that it's not something that needs, that not saying that it's not something that happens or that you shouldn't say it, of course. And by the way, sometimes you have to do things that aren't in perfect taste to get your message out. But I always kind of think, all right, just give it a beat for the actual dead person. And like, just, it's a sad story in and of itself. Like, it's a sad story. So just give it a beat before we talk about the politics of it. And then we can go into it deeper a little bit when it doesn't hurt people. Now, every time I say that, always, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, a great guy, an amazing author. His name is George Johnson on Twitter. George Johnson, amazingly fierce, unapologetic Black gay man. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. When Nip passed away, Nip dies, and then George talks about or writes about some homophobic things that Nip had said, like, while he was alive. And Nip and DeRay had a back and forth, and, you know, George was talking about it. And I remember I called him. I was like, I was just so hurt when Nipsey passed away. Knew the guy. LA, he was a big, huge thing. I just called George. I'm like, yo, man, can you give, like, it's just a lot of people are hurting. Can you give us a little second to catch our breath before we talk about the shitty times that Nip has had in his past? He's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, while we give you guys time to catch your breath, we're dying. Can't do nothing but respect it. Can't do nothing but respect it. But at the same time, if it's me, just on a human level, maybe I hit the pause button real quick. Let people get their tears out before I start reminding them who else they need to cry about.
So I think what you're saying makes sense. I look at what Joy was doing in a completely different way. I understand what you're saying about the grieving, but I think that first thing I said when I started talking about this, I think you can discuss both without discrediting what happened to Gabby, without being disrespectful to her family, because there's never a good time to talk about missing white women's syndrome without attaching it to the missing white woman, to the person who is getting the attention, and then talking about those who don't. If Joy were to just do a random segment of talking and bringing up Natalie Holloway or someone else that we're familiar with, another case that got another case that got a lot of attention, and then talking about all the cases that don't and the people who are underrepresented that don't get attention, it's still going to be, you're talking about Natalie, and her family is never going to get over what happened. You know what I mean? Like, the grief is still always going to be there. They lost someone.
It's not
That's a
fresh.
tragedy.
It's
They can
not,
never get it.
It's not fresh,
they can never
though,
get it back.
right?
But I feel like the reason that she's doing it now is because she's attaching it to a story that's in the news right now. I don't think she's taking away from Gabby at all, acknowledging what happened. But she's also saying, that's why I gave the Black Lives Matter example, because it's not saying your life doesn't matter. It's just saying our lives matter too. So while I have your attention, because I'll tell you exactly what I did. When I saw what Joy did, then I Googled it. And then I saw that CNN has a whole story of different cases of missing people. I saw Indigenous, This Is Now has an excellent video right now on their social media of a journalist talking, and she's an Indigenous woman a journalist talking about all the women that have, the number of women that are Indigenous that have been missing, and that there's no media attention brought to it. So I went down this dark hole seeing all these people, and it brought awareness to it. And the only reason I started doing it is because I started looking up what Joy Reid was talking about. And so I just feel like, because we all have our attention around this case right now, she's using this as an opportunity to gather your attention to an additional issue as well. And I think you can do both without, because I'm still thinking about Gabby, and I'm still thinking about her family, and I'm thinking about how hard it must be as new information continues to come out and everyone has an opinion and the media is continuing to go around and round and round with this story and it's constant, it's on play 24/7. I'm thinking about them. I'm also thinking about the people who've never gotten that, whose kids have been missing for years. And it seems like the local authorities don't care. So I just feel like you can do both, but I understand what you're saying.
So if it were my sister, I would feel minimized. I would. If it were my sister, I would. If it were my sister, I would feel minimized. I would feel minimized, and I would feel like maybe I wasn't given the space to get my arms around it. You know,
you could turn it to another station, and you would,
right?
Because everybody's covering it. Joy's the only person talking about that.
No, I get it. Well, you know, so I guess what we'll do right now is we'll give you actually once again, because I think, especially in situations like this, it's less about actual concepts and more about actual people. So there are actual people out there. Daniel Robinson, 24, was last seen leaving a job site in Buckeye, Arizona on June 23rd, was reported missing later on that day. He was driving a 2017 blue gray Jeep Renegade. You have Jelani Day and Daniel Robinson, who are, Daniel Robinson is the guy who I just talked about. Jelani Day is a 25-year-old Illinois State University graduate student. I actually had somebody reach out to me about this one. He was reported missing by his family and a faculty member August 25th, and that's according to the Bloomington Police Department. So there are a lot of people out there, and what we'll try to do is make sure that we maintain the energy and actually change that, because the laws of the land and the focus and the energy that is devoted to one person's story should be devoted to all of our stories. A life is a life. And I just ask for everyone to have compassion about people who pass away and die and stuff. All right. Nicki Minaj. Did you see this? Nicki Minaj's husband's accuser was on El The Real. Is it El Real in Spanish? Would it be El Real? Because it's The Real?
Sure.
Could I get away with calling it El Real?
Well, is real... I mean, real is an English word. What is real in Spanish?
What is why you should know this?
I know.
I know. You are the one that should know the answer to this question.
Let's see. So it's verdadera. So it could be masculine or feminine.
So what's the name of the show in Spanish?
It's either El or La. Is the show feminine or masculine?
I would say the show is feminine.
So it's La. La Real.
So it's La Real?
I guess so. That's what we're going with.
So in English or in Spanish, Nicki Minaj's husband ain't shit. Kenneth Petty.
I just heard what you said.
I gotta be real with you. That nigga ain't shit, man. Kenneth Petty is his name. A woman named Jennifer Huff said during an appearance with The Real, she was on there with her lawyer, Terrence A. Blackburn. She wanted to speak up. She wanted to speak to the public because she's tired of being afraid. So in case you guys didn't know this about Kenneth Petty, who is Nicki Minaj's husband, back in the day, he was not accused. I said that earlier, and that is not fair because she is not an accuser, and this is not to detract from accusers. She is a victim. Kenneth Petty went to jail for this. All right. So back in the day, he was convicted for attempted first-degree rape. Now, I don't know legally so at first it was a rape charge that he had caught, but I guess then he pled down to attempted first-degree rape. Can you help me understand that at all? Like, it's just like an attempted murder, like you tried to do something.
So it's a lesser included charge. I guess so. Did he plead? Did they go to trial? That's what I don't know. He was convicted. I know that. But
He was convicted.
If there was a trial, or did
he was convicted.
Take a plea deal.
So here it is.
Take a plea deal.
Oh no. Shoot. I think he says he was convicted in April 1995 for the 1994 assault of Jennifer Huff. He was convicted of attempted first-degree rape. And I want to say that he maybe had just a rape charge at first, but he pled down to that. In any case, he went to jail. He was gone for a while. And now what she is saying is that in the wake of this, in order to clean that up, to take heat off of Nicki Minaj, obviously people know that Nicki Minaj is married to somebody who is a convicted sex offender. And to take heat off of Nicki Minaj, they have been pressuring her to do different things. I read an account that said that she's saying that she was being pressured to recant the entire story. And this is why they were doing that. She says on the reel, actually, you know what? Let's play a little sound of her on the reel. Go.
Yeah.
I feel like the actions that were taken in regards to this whole situation have put me in a different type of fear at my age now, and it was wrong, and I don't want to be afraid anymore. So the only way not to be afraid is to continue to speak up.
Okay, she goes on to describe the incident with Kenneth Petty, saying, I knew what he wanted. He pushed me down on the bed. We wrestled for my clothes. She says he then stood up in a nearby mirror and said, I'm the man. I'm the man. Your thoughts?
Nicki is wrong here. Okay.
Oh, you think?
Nicki's wrong here. Nicki, I don't know what Nicki's doing. It happened and he was convicted. And I don't understand why she's trying to minimize or justify what happened. There was no need for Nicki to speak on this situation publicly, because what she's doing with her comment, she is in essence calling this victim a liar.
Oh, well, so what did Nicki say? I missed what Nicki said. She responded to this interview? Or did she say something prior?
She said something prior.
Okay.
She said that they were in a relationship. Nicki said, when Petty's conviction was publicized on social media years later, Minaj claimed that the woman, the victim, and Petty were in a relationship and that Petty was 15 at the time. So Nicki is telling a different story than what this victim is telling. So she is in essence calling her a liar, because she's saying that they were in a relationship as if it was consensual and it wasn't a rape. So she's minimizing what this victim went through. And my thing is, like, Nicki, you married this man, you married him and all that comes with that, and that includes his past sexual assault conviction. Marrying him doesn't give you the reason to try to recreate the past. Nicki wasn't there. She doesn't know what happened. So to emphatically speak on a situation she was not present for, I feel like is uncalled for, it's disrespectful, and it's completely inappropriate to this victim. I mean, I get the whole stand by your man, but in this situation, this is not what she needs to be doing. And I just...
Sure. You can just leave it right there.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That scared me.
So a lot of people.
Is your door open?
No, like they come in. A lot of people have gifts for me. They're like, you remember? Like
They
some
gifts
people.
For you?
Yeah, a lot of people come into the hotel. Like, look, they gave me some peanuts and some chocolate. They wrote me a letter that says, hey, Mr. Lathan, we are thrilled to have you stay with us on your first trip back to D.C. in quite some time. I don't even know how they knew that.
Why do they know your business like that?
I don't even know how they fucking knew that. How did they know that? And it's true.
Yeah, like, see, it went from accepting nice gifts to like, why are they all up in your business
my
like that?
shit is we hope that you have a wonderful stay, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything. Boom. And they left some frankincense and myrrh.
I love a biblical reference.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. You were saying.
No. I was just going to say, I really hate that this woman had to come on national TV and defend herself and her reputation all over again. I cannot even imagine what she went through back then. It was traumatizing for her to go through it, then have to go through the whole him getting convicted, whatever the procedure was. I don't know if there was a plea deal. I don't know if there was a trial. She had to relive it then. She had to tell her story to the police. You know what I'm saying? And then now years later, she's got to do it all again, but on a public platform, because Nicki is in essence calling her a liar. And I just feel like Nicki didn't consider this woman at all in her statement, and she was only selfishly focusing on her man and their reputation as a couple.
Yeah,
Shame on her.
Nicki's feeling the heat. And so in the fact that Nicki's feeling the heat, it seems as if they're going through great lengths to clear her name, or to clear his name to her fan base, which is, incredibly Those ladies. She has a female lady fan base. And I'm sure for people who are not Barbs and who are on the outside of it, it's difficult to reconcile the fact that that Nicki Minaj is married to someone who has this in his history. So this is what I'll say. There's only one way to make this worse. If you marry a guy and the guy has a sexual assault conviction in his past that everyone knows about, that's very public, and you are a public figure, maybe obviously she loves him. Maybe she feels that he is changed or that he is bigger than what he was. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak. They've known each other for a long time. Maybe she feels like she knows something. I don't know. I have no clue. But Nicki Minaj, like you said, marrying him is one thing. The only way to make it worse is to re-victimize the victim, to abuse her again, to make her relive emotionally the trauma of having what she was and who she was put in danger for something that somebody wants to get from her. In the case with Kenneth Petty, back in the day, it was her body, and now it's her silence, or maybe not her silence, her statement that it never happened. So essentially, they're assaulting her again if what she says is true. So if he would have chosen atonement here, and maybe that's something that you can never atone for, and I get and understand that, I'm sure that it is. But if they would have chosen in any way to, if they're going to speak about it at all, speak about the hard work that you have to do or what you have to do or how you're going to make the world safe for victims before, like, lean into it, that's one thing. But if they're using these type of bully ball tactics against her, I can't think of a worse way to handle this. And I'm interested to see what Nicki Minaj will say in the aftermath of this. And I'm interested to see if people can keep the energy of actually making this a thing. If this is going to be a thing, I just want to know how long for. Is this going to be a thing for the weekend? Is it going to be a thing for a week? Is it going to be a thing for 2 weeks? I would bet money right now that Nicki doesn't say anything about it.
I was going to say, I don't think she's going to say a thing. And I love what you said about people keeping the same energy, because the same way people want to get on to us for talking about, like, a Chris Brown for doing something problematic, or whoever else it is. And rightfully so. They've done problematic things. So has Nicki at this point too. So has Nicki. Yeah. So let's not let her off the hook either.
Woo! Is that a get 'em Rach? That might be a get 'em Rach.
Well, I hate this woman had to come on.
That's a
half get 'em. I just hate this woman had to come. I cannot believe she had to come on TV and defend herself. It's infuriating.
Totally believable. Totally believable. I felt bad for her. No. When I say believable, I don't mean about the old allegations, because remember, she made a bunch of new allegations. She said that Nicki Minaj, just so people know before we go.
Oh, about the recanting.
Yeah, this woman is saying that Nicki Minaj, that they gave her $20,000 to try to buy her silence or buy a different version of her story. And then when that was rebuffed, that she was told the $20,000 was going to go on her head. So we're not talking about like some doxing on the internet or any of those other things that celebrities do when they get mad at you. We're talking about, she says that she is in fear for her safety and that she is under attack from Nicki Minaj's camp. And of course, she's not going to be under attack from the fan base as well. So if that is
20,000,
20,000,
that's it. That's all they tried to give her.
I thought about that too.
Are you kidding me?
But you know, I'm gonna be honest with you.
The disrespect.
But I'm gonna be real with you.
20 G's.
But Rach though, I thought about that, but I thought about something else.
What?
We're kind of talking about that from a certain lens. You know, I know guys in Baton Rouge that'll kill you $4,000.
No.
You know what I mean?
I meant the fact that, not the killing part.
Right. No, I'm just saying.
Not to dismiss that. I'm just saying, I can't believe that that's the amount that she offered her.
I know, like, but what I'm saying is, to a lot of people, that's a whole shit ton of money is what I'm saying. So like.
Okay. You know people that would kill for $1,000?
Dog,
oh my
God. I do. I'm not gonna lie. Like I know people that have told whatever. I know people that will kill you. Like, hey, bro.
Let's take a break.
Hey, bro. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. All right. Up next, fantastic interview. Fantastic. You love her. We love her. She is the first Black lady on The Real Housewives of New York. She also is a contributor for Fox News. She also is the host of Black News Tonight on Revolt. Maybe a future co-host of The View.
Maybe.
We are going to be joined by Eboni K. Williams when we come back. 1 second. We have an amazing guest on Higher Learning today. She really is a Jill of all trades. When I tell you this sister is diverse, multifaceted, she can go from Fox News to Revolt to The Real Housewives all in one day. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think there's anybody else that can give you those three. I don't think anyone can give you Fox, then to Revolt, then to The Real Housewives. I'm talking about Eboni K. Williams. I am so happy to have you on this show today, Eboni K. Williams.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Rachel. I'm a big fan of the show. I remember when y'all first launched, you guys had an interview. I won't say who it was, but let's just say between the interview and the questions y'all were able to extract from the guest, y'all were in my head. So I'm really excited to be here today. Yeah, and just chat it up. Let's get into it.
So let's talk about The Real Housewives first.
So many questions.
I have a lot of questions.
I'm a super fan, so I have so many questions.
When you first got on The Real Housewives, I thought people was capping. I thought they were like when they said Eboni K. Williams was going to be on The Real Housewives, I was like, no, she wouldn't. And in my mind, you know what I said? I said she would never do that.
Would never do that. Yeah.
So
everybody said that, man.
And I said, do you know Eboni K. Williams? I was like, she's going to be on The Real Housewives of New York. I was super excited.
Oh, I love that, Rachel. Can I just say before we get into Roni, I'm just obsessed with Blackness, and I'm obsessed with Black women, and I'm obsessed with representation. So obviously your historic run as the first Black Bachelorette, I mean, no, I'm very serious. And I believe in giving people their flowers while they can smell and see them. I never missed a moment. And what I loved, Rachel, that we have in common is, and I say this humbly, there's so many representations of Black women that are kind of limited into how they allow us to be in our Black womanhood. Mm-hmm. So you coming into the space, yes, as a bachelorette, looking for love, but also having your legal background, being an attorney, coming from a family of distinguished professionals in the Black community. That was just dope as fuck to me. I just want to say that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
And you guys have, when I think about it, you guys have a lot in common. When you're looking at that, it's like it's you were the first Black woman on The Real Housewives of New York, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Rachel was the first Black woman on The Bachelor. Yep. What was it like being the first?
Well, I'll speak to my experience because it was unique from Rachel's in that I was in an ensemble cast, right? So I'm in an ensemble cast of all white women who are also veterans of their franchise, with the exception of Leah McSweeney. So I would say, and we kind of saw this play out on last night's episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills with Garcelle Bouvet, the great Haitian queen, and I was just texting with her before our conversation. This notion of a Black woman being expected to fit into a white normative space. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that has challenges that are obvious and some that are not so obvious, including the fact that as talent on these shows, which I know Rachel will speak to in a moment, we are more empowered than most on set. And as such, I've heard you speak about this in an interview, Rachel. I know you'll get to it in a second. There is also a noble responsibility that we have as the visible Black face to make sure that everything around us is copacetic, as we say where I'm from. You know what I mean? But go ahead. So those were some of my challenges. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, I wasn't asking her.
He wasn't asking me, but you're right about it.
I was asking.
Well, I want to know what she thinks. Dan.
But no, you're right. I mean, I echo your sentiments. And as I watched you on The Real Housewives, which you were, I honestly, I could not have done what you did and like keeping your composure in the way that you did, which is also the struggle that we have, is that we have to make everybody feel comfortable around us. And I can only imagine what it is that you were going through in certain situations, which we'll get to. But you and I, we spoke through email because there was a situation that you had. And when I was on The View, which is another thing I want to talk to you about, we discussed that about someone called, Van, I know you don't watch Real Housewives, but one of the housewives called her angry. She said angry, right? Yes. She said angry or aggressive or something like that.
She said angry. She said angry.
Okay, let me not put words in her mouth. She said angry. And I talked about my own experience, and sadly, both of us being the first, had to deal with being that we can walk the straight line and do everything right, but somehow, because you got to get placed into one of these stereotypes, we get placed into angry because we're strong and we assert ourselves a certain way and we're independent and we speak well and all of that. Yeah, so
don't forget, Rachel, in just the next scene over, I was also called articulate.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. And we never saw her again. We never saw her again on the show.
Did they do clean and articulate? Or did they just hit you with articulate?
They didn't pull the full on, who was that dumbass?
That was Joe Biden.
What, Joe Biden? But yes, I was going to say Joe Biden and also the one from Vegas. But anyways, it was the full statement, y'all, was, has anyone ever told you you are so articulate? And it's like, child, I went through all of law school, had a national broadcasting career, and published a book, and I never heard it. That's amazing.
And this is coming off the heels of that woman bragging about how down she is because she worked with Diddy and all of this stuff, and then turns right around and calls her articulate. Go ahead.
I want to ask a straight up question. Real Housewives, are there racists on that show?
Yes, I have to be honest, in the sense of, are there Real Housewives on my cast that hold anti-Black sentiment? Yes. The answer is yes. Yes.
More than one? More than one?
I don't think more than one, actually. I think the other is her issues are more convoluted. I think she has issues with women in general. So I would say it's not isolated to the anti-Black sentiment in the way at least one castmate has displayed themselves.
So I'm not even going to ask the obvious follow-up question, which is which one of the castmates would this be?
We know.
I know. But what I'm going to ask is, how did it present itself to you that you can make that statement so declaratively? Like, what was shown to you so that you could say that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, and Rachel will really be able to kind of echo my analysis as an attorney. So I really did come into the experience with a full clean slate. Although I'm an admitted Roni Day One fan, I know enough about the business to know what you see is not always a direct parallel to who people are. So I deleted all that I thought, all the other stuff I suspected, and I truly went into this experience with an open-minded heart. And I basically, and I do this to everybody, Black, white, or other, started my dossier day one of filming. And when I start the file on you, and y'all, Van, you've been had a file, just so you know.
All right, I'm with it.
You with it. You with the shits. So that's how I roll in life. Everybody gets, and I start collecting evidence. I let you tell me who I am, y'all. I don't make assumptions. I don't speculate. I don't jump to conclusions prematurely. I let it breathe. And I knew, because we were going to be filming this show for, it ended up being 4 months of real time because of COVID delays, I would have ample opportunity to put information in the file that would allow me to one day answer the question so directly, succinctly, and just without hesitation as I was able to do, because I've seen enough. I've seen enough in front of the camera. I've seen enough when the cameras go down. I've seen enough of what happened when we were filming. I've seen enough as to what's happened since the shows have been airing to be able to reach conclusions of who does and does not hold anti-Black sentiment.
You know what I was just thinking?
What you were thinking, Messi?
I was thinking I'm blessed to be surrounded in my life with such amazing, strong Black women. It's just fun watching y'all do this right now. This is what dossier and all of that. I love the fact that you're not taking no shit. Rachel don't take no shit. It's good. Fuck them. I do. I have a question, and this might be unfair, but I'm not asking anyway. I was just wondering. I've worked in all white spaces before. I think people know.
Yes.
I've kind of only worked in all white spaces. Anyway, no, I've worked with Diddy, got my own production company. We Black, whatever. But so question is, was it easier to be Black at Fox News, or was it easier to be Black on The Real Housewives? I
personally found it easier to be Black at Fox News. I'm going to tell you why, because it's got a caveat. It's got a caveat. No. It's got a caveat.
Okay.
It's not because the conditions were better.
Right.
I want to be clear about that. It's not because the conditions at Fox News were better or more favorable. They were not. But there was a better understanding of where their values were. Like Fox News is a 20-plus-year-old organization. No one's unclear as to the value system of Sean Hannity. No one's unclear around the value system. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
Gotcha. No, I understand. We just know what we know where Hannity stands. Right.
Right. That's it. We know what it is. We know how O'Reilly and them, and I did O'Reilly's show weekly. Oh, let me be clear, disgusting moral behavior, but the man was an advocate for me professionally. That was why I was hired by the network. But I knew where Bill was on the issues. So when I would go into the studio every day, y'all, and I would be going back and forth with him about deferred prosecution or Loretta Lynch on the tarmac talking to I know where the pieces of the puzzle are on the table. So I know how to navigate it accordingly. What was difficult about Real Housewives of New York, many of my castmates were hostile towards showing their hand. There was hostility around being clear on their positioning of certain value issues. And I want to be clear, y'all, I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about Ramona or Luann or Leah or Sonia. I need to know where you are on the tax code. Bitch, I don't give a fuck where you are on the tax code. I don't give a fuck what you think about. I don't care what you think of the Iran nuclear deal. I don't care about those things. No, man, you're laughing, but I'm serious. That's politics. That's politics, right?
Right.
I need to know where you are on the liberation of people that look like me.
Word.
I need to know where you are on that issue, so now I know how to navigate our friendships. That's all.
Well, the problem too is the other person of color on your cast. You didn't know where she stood either.
Rachel.
I'll say her name, Rashawn. You didn't know where her allegiance was. I was quite confused. I'm not even quite sure if she was a housewife or not.
She was not.
Here's my
and that only matters in this way, Rachel, in the sense that I actually had far less time with Rashawn. So there was, like I was talking, kind of jokingly, but very literally about the time I took to inform my file system. I had such limited time with Rashawn because she was not a full-time housewife. That made it even more difficult to understand her positioning. If that makes sense?
Now, would you guys describe her, because I didn't see the show, would you guys describe her as one of the real house niggas of New York?
He couldn't wait to say something like that. He couldn't wait to say something like that.
We're not doing that.
That is the second time you've done that in this episode.
Look, I couldn't. Actually, we can take that out. But like,
we're not doing that. No, sir.
We love dogs around here.
It's just a joke.
Let me ask you this, Eboni.
You messy.
Do you feel support from the show? Do you feel like you were supported during your season?
Yes. The direct answer is yes. Now, did every single person in every single moment be? No, but that's not reasonable, right? I think when the shit hit the fan, and when I asked things of my production company, my network, and also like my own personal support system, because I want to really talk about how important that is. Like when you, and I can only imagine the conversations you were having, Rachel, with your friends, family, colleagues, while you were filming and while it aired. That support is important too, you know. So when I asked for space, I got space. When I needed a listening ear, I got that. When I went to the network and production company and said, I need an opportunity to speak to the angry Black woman trope, and I need to do it in a way that's highly credible, I got support by way of that USA Today piece. Gotcha. You know, I got support with them helping me place that in a highly visible, highly credible space. So I think those things are important. And I think that when those calls were made, they were answered accordingly.
Also, I'm glad you had a support system because, you know, I was stripped from everything when I was filming. So my only system was a sea of people who did not look like me. Every producer, every executive that I was dealing with was white. So I'm so glad you had support. Like y'all can at least keep your phones and your friends and your family and all of that, which is great.
I didn't think about that, Rachel, but yeah, you were, oh my God, that's so
isolating. I was explaining to them what it was to be Black while trying to navigate the show, trying to find love and saying like, oh, this is this, which, yeah. That's
and you had to live on unseasoned chicken the whole time because there wasn't no Black people around.
That's not true.
And have no chicken. They didn't know what to do.
That's not true.
So
stupid.
So my question for you is, I'll move off Housewives for a second. I was picking at you a little bit earlier, or just not picking at you, but remarking about how well versed you are and how you're able to comport yourself in all these different media spaces. You've hosted Black News Tonight, Revolt. You've been on Fox News, Real Housewives. What do you see as your place in the culture and the industry as, and where do you see the evolution of it? Like, what is Eboni's dream situation? Like, what do you feel like your voice is used best? You've used it so many different places.
I really like that first question, Vane. I don't know that anyone's ever asked me so directly. What do I see my place really in this culture? I know, actually, I had a spiritual awakening during COVID. And I called my best friend, one of my best friends, Christina Jackson Scott. And I said, it was like, I don't know, 1:30 in the morning. And I said, bitch, thank you for answering the phone. And then I said, it's really nuts because in this moment, I know why I was born.
Wow.
And she said, do tell. I was born and my life's work is centered around showing that Black women, particularly Black women, belong in every space. So that is why, and we belong there on our terms. Yes. So we belong there. And now I want to be vulnerable and say that I didn't always know how to show up on my own terms because I hadn't had the maturity and the full evolution of confidence. And really, I wasn't fully emancipated, right? To be as free as you see me moving on Real Housewives of New York while I was at Fox News. Now, I got a lot freer towards the end of my tenure at Fox. That's why you started really seeing the indictment of Trump around Charlottesville and talking very boldly about the depreciating value of whiteness in American society and the fear that is causing around white supremacy. That's why you heard me call Sheriff Clark's punk ass out when he tried to pretend like he didn't know who John Lewis was. That's when you heard me ask Brian Kemp while he was stealing an election actively, what the fuck is going on with the voter suppression in your state, Mr. Secretary of State? You know, but that level of emancipation, freedom, and intention of taking up full space as a Black woman came at the end. So yeah, that's why I do what I do and the way I do it. Where will I go next, y'all? I really don't know. It's really truly of God's will. But I know all I want to do, y'all, is make sure that I show it doesn't have to look one way. It doesn't have to be the respectability politics that we think of the perfect Black woman aesthetically or vocally. That's why I speak the way I speak. A lot of people give me a lot of shit because I've got a bit of a potty mouth, right? It's like, oh, why would such an educated, intelligent young woman use so many 4-letter words? Because I fucking can. Because I earned the right to say it. Hey, because I get to say it how I want to say it because those are my terms. and I won't be shamed into your respectability politic formula to present a certain way because that's what makes you comfortable, which is really what Rachel was speaking to earlier.
I just heard my father's voice when you said that. I feel you on what you say, but you know how the judge, we had him on this show, how he'll be like, you need to stop saying that. You need to stop cursing so much. He tells me that, he tells Van that. It's a whole other thing. But I felt that. I felt you. I felt you in that moment. But you want to talk about what's next? The View. I know everybody's asking you about that. Now there's an open seat. They're circulating guest hosts. Would you go on? How do we make this happen? Because I really think that you would be great.
Well, I love you for saying that, Rachel. And obviously, you know, when I see women like yourself who have also occupied a seat at that historic table, it's encouraging. It's encouraging to see. Thank God we're finally in 2021, right? Getting a little bit out of that tokenism, slave mentality that says there can only be the designated one or two women of color at the at the same table. You know, thank God we're you know, people are seeing that there is room enough for a scenario where there's me and the brilliant Sunny Hostin at the table and the legendary Whoopi Goldberg at the table. Now let's talk about the open seat. You know, it was occupied by my former colleague from Fox News, Meghan McCain. Meghan McCain is the very obvious and visible darling of the Republican establishment, and came on with a very strong, really continued the legacy, right, of Elizabeth Hasselbeck's very strong conservative point of view. I'm not a partisan bitch. That's just not who I am. You know, for better or for worse, I'm just not really in love with the partisanship of the work. So therefore, somebody was asking me the other day, Rachel, like, when you go on for your guest stint, will it be to in the voice of the Meghan McCain GOP lens? I said, no, ma'am. And that's not any shade towards Meghan. I'm only going on any platform I occupy in the voice and lens of Eboni K. Williams, period. And that's a take it or leave it proposition. So I make no mistake about it. I'm not, you know, going to play it coy. The View is a dream job for me. I have, you know, been enthralled with what that platform means, what it means for our people since our sister in the law, Star Jones, debuted on the show 25 years ago.
Shout out.
I mean, it always meant something very special to me, y'all. Particularly because Star, you know, she's my sorority sister, ski oop to you, fellow sister Greek Rachel. To see her and her regalness, her education, her aesthetic as a fuller figured Black woman, it all just popped. So I would love the job, but I will never contort my point of view and my intellectual integrity for any job. So,
yeah, I read that if they hire you on The View and it was 3 Black women, that they're going to change the name of it to W, D-A. I read that they were, because I saw this article and it was like,
that's pretty good.
It was like, it was going to be W. Yeah.
W.
Yeah. So last question I'll ask you is during the pandemic, you talked about the fact that your relationship came to an end. Your relationship came to an end, and you said it was because you couldn't bear that your fiance had the fucking nerve to choose his children over you. That's what you...
You got it right. Yeah, go ahead.
Eboni,
hey, what?
How in the world could you be mad that during a global pandemic, somebody chose their kids over their fiance? Like,
okay. Do you actually want an answer to the question?
Absolutely.
I do. I want to hear it.
Absolutely.
Giggling and kicking and shit so you can get it. Jesus. Right. All right.
Yes, please.
All
please.
right. The answer is this. First of all, Brother Van, I was not mad. So you got me fucked up already. I was never mad. I want to be very clear. I was never mad. It's not about being mad. What it's about is being a woman enough to have agency over what serves my needs and interests. I think it's very important that all adults in relationships get really clear on that, so you can make decisions accordingly. So what was clear to me during the pandemic, I was not I felt no way that the man wanted to spend time with his children during the pandemic. Of course, that makes sense. But I had to acknowledge the gap between us when I was sick during the pandemic. And it's not about me being sick, but I happened to at some point get COVID and really need some help. There was 8 weeks where I was no smell, no taste.
Damn.
Yeah, really. But I actually have some long hauler syndrome of the neck and back muscle. My point is I was sick and shut in, and I was in need. And in that moment of need, he was unavailable. I was by myself. So let me not make it about him. It's not about him. It's about, I realized in that moment, I was alone. If I'm going to be alone and I'm not going to have someone who does love me, be able to protect and care for me, that's not a marriage that I can sign up for a lifetime.
That makes perfect sense.
Hell yeah.
What I'm saying, sister? Right. So it's not about being mad at him for his choice. This man had children when he met me. I'm very clear about that. It's just that the and listen, this is y'all catching the back end of a 3.5-year relationship. Trust me, there was a whole lot of other shit that went on
I get it. Yeah.
to lead to this. But that was when it was like my aha moment, where it's like, okay, Eboni, if you commit the rest of your life to this man, you will never be his priority. And the only reason I would have expected otherwise is, in a perfect world, it's never that I wanted to be more important than his children, y'all. Don't ever misunderstand that man. It's that I would have hoped that my partner, the man that he was, would have demonstrated the leadership to create an environment where the love of his life is his wife, Beyoncé wife, and his children could all coexist, right? That's how that should, his leadership skills, had they been better, would have been able to say to his 20, 18, and 13-year-old sons, hey guys, I'm your father. I'm going to always be your father. You will never want for a thing in this world as long as I have life in my body. What is also true is that this woman over here is a woman that I love. And I am bringing her into our family as a protector and a provider in tandem with you. And we will create a broader sense of family. And I, your father, have enough love and resources to go around. Now, if that had happened, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. But in the absence of that, and he can only do what he can do. So I'm not mad about it. It's a capacity issue there. Because the capacity was lacking there for that type of leadership, which was my need. That's not every other woman's needs. There's plenty of women out here that's like, bitch, you're tripping. Of course you're going to come third, fourth, fifth, or sixth behind the job, the kids. That's fine for those women, y'all. It's just not fine for me. That's all.
Wouldn't be fine for me either. Fuck them. Last question I have. It wouldn't. It would not. Last question I have. Will you come back to the Real Housewives of New York?
I've been cagey about that question, Rachel, but I think it's important that I now be honest in my own realization, because it just kind of came to the cancellation of the reunion actually makes me want to come back more so. Because now I feel I have a little unfinished business, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And I want to finish what I started, not by continuing to, because the dossier is closed. I'm actually really glad that we had what should be an exclusive media savvy interview conversation here, because, I concluded my investigation, season 1. I've been able to make a determination as to where the players fall, and that file is closed. And now that I know where everybody is, we can all move on. And I'm looking forward. I would look forward to a season of fun and getting the hell out of this COVID lockdown that we were in during New York.
Yeah.
While we film, I want a real trip. Shit, that shit from Salem, that wasn't cutting it.
No,
okay?
that no.
And Salem, Massachusetts, and Ramona's fucking house. No, I want a real trip. So yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Love that, because we want to see you back on our television screens. And I'm going to come on as a friend of. I just want to start shit. I just want to start shit.
Girl, just
take me to the Hamptons.
Rachel, you got to mosey your way from LA right on conveniently over here in Manhattan, girls. We can have a kiki. I love bringing Black women on the show to film with me.
Yeah, you were great about that. Bringing your
and
friends on.
it was important because I wanted to show. And I know that you were talking about this on The Bachelor too, The Bachelorette. We're not unicorns, Rachel. People will see a Rachel Lindsay or They'll see me, or they'll see, you know, other queens in the industry, and Amanda Seales or Angela, and they think we're unicorns, right? Like there's only that one special negress. No,
she made it.
We're not. Right? We come from a tribe of incredible, beautiful. I mean, we're both sorority girls. Like every Black woman I know is the shit.
Exactly.
And so it's important that people see that.
That's the show. Wait, Van, one of the housewives said, I stayed up all night reading about E.J. Walker.
Oh my God.
the first Black woman millionaire. See how committed I am? I said, bitch, who was EJ?
Ebony politely is like, CJ.
Walker.
Ebony's like, CJ.
And then she got mad at me. And all of my mom, by the way, Rachel, thank you for bringing this up real quick before we go. My mom, that is my mom's funniest season moment of all time. Because then she was like, and then when you were like, Ramona, I just want you to get it right because I know you're going to go to the Hamptons and brag to your friends about your Black history knowledge. And I want you to preserve the integrity of what you learned. That's all it was about.
Ebony.
Yes,
we are so thrilled to have had you join us on Highline.
This was really fun.
What a lot of fun. Thank you so much. We're gonna watch as you fill that seat on The View, and hopefully you're there. I think that you just have one of the most unique, one of the strongest, one of the most unfiltered voices out there. You know, I fucked with you for a long time, so I can't wait to see what's next.
You got a real strong file, man. I fucks with you too, bro. Rachel right there.
You just created mine, but that's okay. We're about to fill up. We're going to fill it up.
Chef plus, day one. I love it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for coming.
Fantastic.
I'm so happy we had her on. I'm such a fan. I think everybody knows that. I think she's fabulous. I'm literally going to hang out with her in New York. Next time I go, I'm hitting her up. We're going to kick it.
I want to see like a whole buddy movie with y'all.
Adventures of Rachel and Ebony in the city.
Adventures of Rachel and Ebony in the city. The ski oops.
The ski oops.
The ski oops.
Ski oops.
Oh, no, I got a better one. No, this is better. This is better.
All right.
The oopskis.
Appreciate that.
Oopskis, yeah.
Appreciate you give us first billing.
Gotta do that. You guys took a loss with the whole vice president thing. I want to make sure that I should look out for my deltas. All right. Now to the wild world of movies. Daniel Craig, you know who that is?
Yes, I know who that is.
Just making sure. Just making sure you know. Because sometimes I'll be like, y'all be like, yo, man, Tom Cruise. And then you'd be like, I've never seen him. What was he?
Okay, I'm not that bad.
Okay. Daniel Craig, who plays James Bond, came under a little fire because he says that he doesn't think a woman should play James Bond in the James Bond series going forward. So this is what the deal is. So now people are looking at James Bond as an opportunity to democratize James Bond. James Bond has always been played by a white male. You're hearing all kinds of stuff out there now. You're hearing the possibility of Dev Patel as James Bond. You're hearing Idris Elba as James Bond. You're hearing Bond from all over different type of situations, right? And there's also been some talk about maybe making a woman James Bond. He was asked about this, Daniel Craig, who's played James Bond now for a while, in an interview with the Radio Times. And he said, the answer to that is very simple. There should be better parts for women and actors of color. Why should a woman play James Bond when there should be a part just as good as James Bond for a woman? That view echoes comments made by Bond franchise executive producer Barbara Broccoli. What the fuck? Her name is Barbara. That got to be Broccoli. That's got to be Broccoli.
Just call her Broccoli.
Nah, man.
Broccoli.
I'm not trying to saute.
Is it spelled like broccoli?
Human being. I don't know how you spell broccoli. It's Broccoli. Is that broccoli? Or is broccoli with two? Donnie, how do you spell broccoli?
No, it's 2 C's and 1 L.
I bet you it's. Oh no! I bet you it's broccoli. I bet you it's broccoli. It can. It's gotta be broccoli, man. Barbara Broccoli. It's gotta be broccoli. It's gotta be broccoli. I'm gonna go with.
It probably is broccoli, and she says broccoli. Just like when I was growing up, there was somebody whose last name was spelled a certain way, and he would tell people it was Faget, but that's not what it was. That's not what it was.
There was once a Saturday Night Live sketch about a guy who was always mad about names. He was mad about all the names that he could name his kid. His wife kept giving him names for the kid, and he was like, "Oh no, that sucks." He was getting super mad about the names, and then when a guy delivered a package to his door at the end of the sketch, because he didn't know why he was going so crazy over all of these names, the guy delivers a package to him, and he says, "Yes, we have a package for Mr. Asswipe Johnson," and he says, "No, my name is Osweepe. It's Osweepe." It's very funny. So anyway, she said, she's a franchise executive producer, Miss Broccoli. She said, Bond is a male. He's a male character. He was written as a male, and I think he'll probably stay as a male. And that's fine. We don't have to turn male characters to women. Let's just create more female characters and make the story fit those female characters. That's what she said. Do you care about Bond? Are you aware of the distinct maleness of Bond? Where do you stand on this issue, Rachel?
So this won't be shocking to anyone. I've never seen a James Bond movie.
Not one.
Not one.
Fucking amazing.
But
I'm sorry, dog. Hold on. Let's stay there for 1 second.
No.
That is actually fucking impressive.
Why?
Them shits go back to like 1962 or something.
Well, I'm definitely not starting there.
Those are some of the best ones. Like you've never. Let me ask you.
No, but I know the people who play Bond. I know Pierce Brosnan. I know Sean Connery. I know Daniel Craig. I know who they are because
have you
of
ever
the
just
figure.
You ever just caught one? You ever just
Never.
like it's on?
Never.
God damn! How?
Never.
How
Because
could
I changed
that
the
be?
channel. I
Gotcha.
don't have a desire to, but I know. My point being is I've never
You
seen
understand
a movie,
what it means in culture,
but I
yes.
understand the iconic figure that is James Bond. I just named you 3, and I don't know how many there've been, but I named you 3.
There's him, and then there's George Lazenby. There's Timothy Dalton was James Bond, and then there's Roger Moore. So there are a couple of more, but you got the main ones that people know.
Yeah. I've gotten the ones of my time and the original.
Yeah. And the original, Sean Connery, yeah.
So I know who that person is. I don't have a problem with this because I think the way that the question was answered is saying that James Bond is a guy, and that is what this figure represents. And it's not saying that you can't have a James Bond-like figure, but create a different movie, create a different franchise, and create roles that give women these opportunities. But I personally don't understand the purpose of wanting to change the figure of James Bond. I just don't. Now, if James Bond was the only movie that had ever been made in life, and the only movie role available for you was to play James Bond, then yeah, they would need to have it for women as well, so everybody could do it. But there are other opportunities, and I don't understand why you need to change who James Bond is when you can just create roles for women to have just as big, if not even bigger, than what James Bond represents in pop culture.
I understand your point, and I tend to agree. Can I give you the counter argument and see if it maybe sways you?
Please.
Okay. So the counter argument is this. This is basically the counter argument. They're not gonna go see that shit. So this would be the counter argument. The counter argument would be, okay, so James Bond, Superman, Batman, fucking who else? Whoever you want to kind of make up.
Oh,
Spider-Man. All of these guys were created during the time where there was no diversity in making these heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then what happens is when you write these heroes in their initial incarnations, they become huge, and then they take up so much space in pop culture. Like Superman takes up so much space in pop culture that a character that is like Superman, there's actually a name for him. A character that's like Superman that has the same powers is called a Superman analog. So if you have a guy like Hyperion or the Sentry, or in all the other universes have guys who fly, are invulnerable, have heat vision, can move really fast, all of those. Those guys are called Superman analogs. and it will always be compared to Superman. So as many other characters as you invent, whether they're male or female or whatever, Superman has a distinct advantage over them because he has a cultural and actually like chronological head start. Therefore, you can't really change that culture without in some way changing that character. So when people say James Bond to me is a distinctly male character, I don't think the character works as well as a female because he was written too distinctly male. It's like you can't change Black Panther and make him from Scotland because too much of who Black Panther is steeped in the history of Wakanda. I think that James Bond as a female character is a completely different character, and it probably doesn't work. However, what people would say would be like, hey, you can't do a female James Bond movie. Number one, they've tried it. They've done movies like Salt with Angelina Jolie, and they did a movie recently called The Rhythm Section. That was a little bit of it. That wasn't exactly a James Bond movie. Charlize Theron had a movie, and these movies aren't going to be the same as James Bond because these movies are, in effect, copying James Bond. They're films that are breathing the same oxygen as James Bond, and the only way to really usher in a new era in that genre of film would be to give the face of that genre of film a facelift. So if you have a Black James Bond or an Indian James Bond or a woman James Bond, that goes a lot further than just making up a character that nobody is going to view as Bond, and then putting them out there to try to compete with something that's like almost 100 years old, like that came out a long time ago. And that in and of itself is the reason why they want to do this, because they're trying to like get to the root of all of it. What would you say to that?
I just think if you put a woman in there, it changes the whole movie.
You're right about that.
I understand what you're saying. Like nothing compares when you've got a head start of almost half a century of James Bonds, however long it's been out.
I think the 40s, maybe. Ian Fleming. Yeah. I think the 40s.
So even longer than
maybe
that.
the 50s. Maybe the 50s.
So yeah, it's got a head start, but I just think, because it's like if you put a woman there and then it changes the character and it changes, I guess, James Bond. Do you keep it a woman? What, like, I guess there's just so many questions to it. My thing is just, I get it and it makes sense to me with the head start thing, but it's a totally different movie. And so that's why I'm like, just call it something else. Just start now. Let's start the new 100 years now.
Okay, I'm with it.
I guess that's just how I look at it because, and I'm not saying that that's the case for everything, but there's just some roles that is, I don't think it's discrimination for James Bond to stay a man. I just don't.
I don't think it's discrimination, and I do think that there are certain aspects of his character that are distinctly male that you this is my thing. I don't have any problem with changing any characters or updating characters as long as it doesn't fundamentally change the character. It really doesn't fundamentally change James Bond's story to make him Black or Indian. It fundamentally changes his story. It's a different character, right? I'll be honest, I'll give you another one. I don't think Batman could be Black.
Why?
I think Superman might be able to be Black, and even that's a stretch.
Why can't Batman be Black? Because of his dad?
He's got a lot of privilege. Think about what Batman really is. Superman is Superman is a comic book character's white privilege wet dream.
Mm-hmm.
Batman is a comic book character's white privilege aspiration. You can't be Superman, so you just dream about being him. You want to think you can be Batman, meaning you want to think that you can be a master of a universe that out of great sort of tragedy, Batman essentially wants to control all the crime in this city. When I say control it, he wants to get rid of it, but at the same time, he uses money, influence, and determination. Money, influence, and determination to control things in Gotham City he doesn't like. That is a distinctly European way of looking at the world. That's like, it's not that Batman's not going out there, and the Wayne Foundation does a lot of stuff, but Batman's like, let me build gadgets, run around at night, and beat the shit out of people till they do the right thing.
That's a good point. I feel like the podcast is drifting into Ringerverse territory.
Very true. Very true. Let's get back. Bring back. Next. Okay, I'm sorry. I would like to unpack that on the Ringerverse though.
It's interesting. I mean, I agree with you though about the Batman thing though.
So here's the deal. 2 questions on social media. I'm going to hit these real quick. All right. There was this ridiculous tweet that was made. All right. It was tweeted. And it was like, who is the bigger star? Because one of these questions, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. One of these questions I think is a totally disrespectful question. The other one, I think there's an argument. Okay. First question, who's the bigger star? Drake or Michael Jackson? That was asked. These kids are wacky.
I'm not even going to entertain an MJ discussion on this. Drake is great. There's no disrespect to Drake. Michael's out of this world.
Michael's the biggest pop star in the history of all the shit.
It's insulting to even continue a dialogue surrounding this question.
So like 100 million albums on one album. It's like it's nuts.
Guys.
It's like a crazy thing. Michael, it's not. Come on, man. Michael Jackson.
Thanks for the laughs. We get out of here. If
I was Drake, I would be mad. I'll be mad at the question.
Yeah, we need to hear from him. Yeah, he should speak out.
Because all it really does is it makes us then go forth to minimizing Drake. Because Drake is a fucking gigantic, massive star. But Michael Jackson is a fucking planet. He's a solar system of stars. He's the biggest fucking star that there ever was in that sense.
Yeah,
so that's one.
He's out of this world. Come on.
This is the second one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that I entertained on my Twitter until the Beehive straight fucking
sting you every time. Sting you every time.
Straight fucking punked me.
Oh, wait. So this has to do with Beyonce.
Who's bigger, Drake or Beyonce?
You entertained this?
See, to me, this is one that can be entertained.
So I'm not in the Beehive, but even I have to say, it's by far Beyonce.
By far?
Beyonce's on another level. Because, see, Beyonce's to the point where she's mysterious. She rarely makes appearances. We wonder about her. We don't do that about Drake. Beyonce doesn't like come down to the level of everyone. You don't see her out and about like that. Beyonce's like on another level. Like Drake's on a feature with like everybody.
Yeah,
Beyonce,
but that's part of the reason.
Never. No, Beyonce would never. Drake starts frivolous feuds with people. Beyonce would never.
See, this is not bigger though.
Drake discusses his exes in songs. Even uses their voices against their will. Beyonce would never. Right? Drake's always talking about who he wants to date, almost like he's like begging for some attention. Beyonce would never. Right?
She made a whole album about her relationship issues.
She made an album about her personal life. I said Drake is like begging, like, I want to date this person. I want to talk to this person. It's like he's shooting his shot with people, okay? Beyonce would never. Beyonce would never.
True.
Other artists come for Drake. Ain't nobody coming from Beyonce. Nobody would never come for Beyonce.
Well, not after
Drake
the one
trolls
person did.
people. Drake trolls people. Beyonce would never.
See,
like
but
she would never stoop down to these things.
All of these things are right, and I'm so happy that you came prepared. But my thing is, you're listing reasons that Beyonce is more highbrow, elegant, respected. But if you're talking about who's bigger,
it's because she doesn't do these things because she's bigger.
Let me ask you a question. Who would you think has sold more records, Drake or Beyonce?
Who would I think has sold more records? Are we including Destiny's Child?
No, we're talking about the solo careers of these people.
But it's Beyonce and Destiny's Child.
No, it's not. It's Destiny's Child.
It's like it's David Ruffin and the Temptations.
Wow. Oh my God. Somewhere Kelly Rowland just went, shit, who hit me?
I love Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams. But no, in all seriousness, I think you have to include Destiny's Child.
No, you don't. You don't. You don't include it. It's a
No,
solo,
because then
it's a
you're
solo
cutting.
artist.
No, then you're cutting Beyonce's career short. You're cutting the legs off her career. That's not fair.
Her career
That's not
started in
fair.
2003.
That's not fair. No, it did not. Her career
As a
started with
solo
Destiny's
artist.
Child.
No,
Nope.
I'm not.
That's not-
Okay, here's the thing.
I say Beyonce, and I'm including Destiny's Child.
But you can't include Destiny's Child.
You're cutting her career short.
What?
You're cutting her career short. You're cutting her career short. I'm sorry.
We're talking about the record sold as a solo act.
No, you made that rule up. You said how many records has Beyonce sold? She was a part of Destiny. She sold them records with Destiny's Child. I'm sorry. But fine. Is your point going to be, since her career started in 2003, you're going to say Drake sold more than her? Fine.
No. So look, first of all, I'm not even arguing it anymore. Listen, when I say I'm not arguing it, I'm really saying, hey, leave me the fuck alone. I'm saying I'm not arguing it.
Okay.
I don't want to have the argument. What I'm saying is while there is, I can't imagine a metric where Drake is a bigger deal than Michael Jackson. And there might be one. There might be one. Maybe Drake has more number ones or something or whatever. I'm not sure. I know he didn't get his first number one until a couple years ago, but I'm not sure. Streaming changes everything. There at least is a metric where Drake is a bigger artist than Beyonce, like a definitive metric. And Drake was just given Artist of the Decade by the Billboard. He just won that. And so what I'm saying is that there's at least I'm not saying that he's bigger than Beyonce.
Yes,
Please
he's a
leave me
big
alone.
artist. He's
What
a
I'm saying
big
is,
artist.
what I'm saying is there's at least an argument that Drake is bigger than Beyonce right now.
No.
Okay. Hey,
And I
she's
said what I
right.
said.
She's right. Don't fucking come for me.
That's what
I
he's
was just
scared.
having-
He's scared. He
I was
really
just-
he really believes no, you guys. He's just scared of the
I really
Beehive.
don't. No, I really don't. People made a lot of good points when we were talking. People made a lot of good points. The best point is the 75-year-old grandmother test, which I did. My grandmother's a little older now. I was like, hey, Mama, what's your favorite Drake song? She's like, now who that now? Drake, what did he sing? And I gave her a couple songs and she knew the songs. But when I said Drake, she didn't know. I said, now what's your favorite Beyonce song? She goes, I like them all. I like Single Ladies. I like Uh-Oh. I like all right.
Mailbag?
Oh yes. I was looking around to see if there's anything else. We got like a million things on the rundown today, but the reality is that I do want to touch on one thing before we leave. There's in no way are we turning our attention away from what's happening in Texas right now. I do want to bring up one thing about Texas before we leave. A little bit of a lighter episode. There's one thing I want to talk about with Texas. Look, we were all happy to remove Donald Trump. Everybody was happy to remove Donald Trump. Everyone was happy that probably listens to this podcast. We were happy to remove Donald Trump. I just want to remind people of something right now. Donald Trump is not the president.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. The things in the Trump administration have carried over to this administration. This is a tough situation for any politician, any administration to deal with. These are people that are coming from a place and they're looking to better their lives. And they're looking to actually, in some cases, have lives.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a compassionate way that they have to be dealt with. And we have to care about those lives. And we have to, like I said before, we have to care about our role in the destabilization of Haiti and in Haiti's situation right now. Not just us as in the United States, the world community. The role that they've played, Sunny Hostin was amazing on this on The View. I don't know if you saw, she talked about it very passionately about that. But I'm telling you guys right now that if you don't like what's happening at the border in Texas, if you don't like how people are being treated, if you don't like how people are living there, the conditions, where the women, how women on their periods and that are pregnant are being handled, whether or not people are bathing, if in fact people are being run down on from horseback like they are either cattle today or human beings in 1840. If you don't like that, the buck stops one place. And I know you guys don't want to hear this, but it stops in walking distance from where I am right now at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And the people who are accountable, not saying that they created the problem, but it is their job to solve it.
Right.
So there can be no kid gloves for the Biden administration. There can be no kid gloves for Kamala Harris, no kid gloves for Simone, no kid gloves for any of the operatives that told us who to vote for. Did we get out the guy that we wanted to get out? Yeah, but it still remains to be seen whether or not we have the guy in there that we actually need.
Yeah.
And these situations that the Biden administration has been hit with, talking about the Delta variant, talking about Afghanistan, talking about this is what the fucking job is. And I would be lying to you guys if I told you I thought they were doing a great job right now.
Yeah.
I think it's subpar. So, and I don't want to, you guys are going to accuse me of doing the work for Fox News and not being this and all of that.
I don't think that. I think that, in the last episode, we talked about Fox News because I happened to be watching it. But you talked about, you briefly talked about Biden and his administration. I said there's still issues with the way the Biden administration is handling it. I don't think that's doing the work for Fox News. That's calling it like it is. Who's in it? It's the policies from the Trump administration, but the Biden administration hasn't. Okay, you guys. Okay, you guys.
I'm sorry.
This is not a laughing matter. We are not laughing at what the issue is. But if you're watching this on video, you saw that Van decided to take a sip of water, and he missed his mouth completely.
No, actually, what happened was I tried to take a sip of water, and the cap was still on the water.
I
tried to take a sip, and then it dribbled down my chin.
I saw the
Very
dribble.
Serious. Right, you're right. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at the issue, but see, this is why
not.
don't stop. Don't drink. People don't like when we drink and eat on the podcast.
Okay, I won't. I'm
and
sorry.
that's case in point.
Right.
But no. I don't. I'm saying this all to say I don't think people are going to accuse you of doing, the work of the conservative side or, the Trumpers or anything like that. It is what it is. What's happening is unacceptable. And we need to see things done immediately by what's happening or with Biden's administration. Not just Biden, Kamala too.
And by the way, in the meantime, do what you can. Go to different people's Instagrams. Jessie Woo's doing a lot of stuff on this. She did a conversation with Jamal Bryant earlier. Very informative. Go to different people's Instagrams. Look around and see what you can do to get money directly, get funds directly to the people who need them. Okay, let's go to Mailbag.
Jamal Bryant.
Yeah, Jamal Bryant was on there.
The minister?
Yeah. All right, Mailbag. First question. Let's do it. Mailbag time. Time to read your letters and then we'll reply to them. Oh, it's mailbag time. Write us with your queries and we'll chime in.
From Ladybird 610. What were your first experiences like with social media and how old were you?
I had College Club.
Wow. Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it was College Club.
Okay.
ZCP 001 at College Club.
Wow. I've never heard of it. I tried to fight social media as long as I could.
Did
I actually
you?
got on Facebook on a dare. And I might have had a MySpace, but
I had a MySpace, yeah.
maybe that. I definitely had AIM and all of that kind of stuff. Messenger, if that counts. But Facebook was the real thing.
MySpace, in a lot of ways, was superior to Facebook, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Top 8, come on there, music plays, all of that. But I had College Club, and then College Club there was a scandal in Baton Rouge in College Club. It was the first time I ever witnessed revenge porn.
Oh, wow.
A guy was mad at his girlfriend, a girl that we knew, and he changed his College Club picture to, he changed her College Club picture, actually, to a picture of her giving him oral sex. And that kind of, that was the end. That was the end. And it was very bad. It was a whole big thing. Very bad.
Wow.
Shame on you. Shame
Wow.
on you for doing that. Okay. Next one.
From Megastosin. If you could have one talent in the world,
Oh,
what would it be?
we've answered that. We've done that.
We've done it. Mine would be flipping. Thank you for that question. Moving on to one of them. What would it be?
From Blinner126. If you could host any Bravo reunion, which show would you pick?
Below
Potomac.
Decks.
You watched that?
Yeah.
Or did you just name it? Really? That's the one Bravo show. See, there's two types of people that watch Bravo. That's the one I don't watch.
I changed my mind.
Okay, Real Housewives of Potomac for me.
$1 million listing, baby.
Which city?
I like New York. I gotta be honest with you. I love those fucking guys.
You like Frederick?
Frederick is
He's
the
awesome.
fucking man.
He's
Frederick
awesome.
is the guy, man. It's crazy.
He's awesome.
All right, let's keep going. Go.
From Cassie, etc. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
It's not ever, but I can tell you about the nicest thing. I was just watching something that I saw over on our Thought Warriors, the most popping Reddit that's ever lived. The Reddit with the nicest butt is our Thought Warriors. Go over there. I saw this guy who does this "What are you listening to" thing, and it was in Harvard. And he got this girl, and he was like, he goes around, he goes, "What are you listening to?" And then he takes the music and he puts it in there, and he asks this girl who's walking down the street at Harvard, he's like, "What are you listening to?" And she goes, "I'm listening to a podcast. It's called Higher Learning."
Shut up.
Yeah, it was really dope. I'll send it to you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and
I didn't
love
send it
that
to
the
you.
Thought Warriors caught that. You
They
guys are
caught it.
awesome.
Yeah,
You
I didn't
really
send it to
are
you.
the most poppin' Reddit group out there.
I sent it to Bill Simmons.
You
I'm
sent
like,
it to
"Look."
Bill and not me?
I'm like, "Look, we out here.
You asked for a
Gotta keep-
raise?
Got to keep the bag flowing." All right.
No, that's,
what's your?
I actually love hearing about Thought Warriors in the wild. Compliment, that's a great compliment. I would just say, I don't know if it's the best, but I always love when, like, I feel like my world has changed so much, and I feel like it has in the last 4 years. And I love when my friends from home, and you know what? They said it the most is with this podcast, feel like I'm still true to who I am, like the person before any of this, any TV, any podcast, anything like that. When they're like, I don't feel like you've changed at all. You're still the exact same person. And they say that the most when they listen to me on Higher Learning.
That's
So-
very nice.
Yeah.
Because
You don't want to.
I hate that you change shit.
Yeah.
Get out of here, nigga. All right. Last one.
From Anna Karen Smith. Showering. Do you physically wash your feet, or do you just let the soapy water run over them?
Anna, you white.
We wash
I love
our
you to
feet.
death.
We
I love
wash
you to
our
death,
feet.
Anna. Anna, I love you. I don't want you to be upset. I know you're white. And let me tell you why you're asking this question. Because you know that you need to get your ass down there and wash your motherfucking feet. You know. But, culturally, it hasn't been something that's been really stressed. And you're wondering, hey, do they know something over there? Do they know something?
We do. Wash your feet.
We do. Anna, I love you. When I say I love you, if we had a shirt right now for asking this question, for bearing your soul with us, I would give you a shirt. Anna Karen Smith. You don't want to be your middle name, Anna.
Stop. We wash our feet. We wash our
Wash
feet.
your
I used to have a homie, shout out to Terrell Brown, who used to always say he didn't trust people who did not wash their feet in the shower.
Wash
Anna,
them.
we want to trust you. Wash your
Anna,
feet in the shower.
We love you. Wash your feet. All right. That's enough. It's over. We've been giving you guys some supersized podcasts lately. Next podcast we give you probably going to be like 105. Maybe even come in at a taut 59 minutes. Do you have an unexpected ally of the week?
No. I did.
You did.
And I because I find them earlier in the week and then I lose them. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I have one.
You do?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's actually Alex Jones.
Who?
Alex Jones. The InfoWars guy. You know what? It was a fucking joke, but you don't know who Alex Jones is? You don't fuck with, you never heard of Alex Jones, the InfoWars dude? He was in Austin. InfoWars, Alex Jones.
InfoWars.
The whole thing was a joke, and the joke didn't land because you don't know who Alex Jones is.
Just
Alex
like
Jones,
this isn't landing?
the crazy conspiracy theory dude.
InfoWars, an
maybe
American
not.
far-right conspiracy theory and fake news website owned by Alex. Did he do something recently?
No, I was just joking around. The fucking podcast is over. Keep your thinking caps on, but do not stop learning. I fuck Alex Jones and everybody who fucks with him. I am Van Lathan Jr.
I'm Rachel Lynn Lindsay.
We out.